I want to make sure that, even if you disagree with somebody's comments, we do not chatter to them. We want to be respectful. This is a business meeting, and that, your opinion can be heard at regular decibels. We don't need to yell, or we don't need to attack, and you'll have your time to come up to the podium and say what you have to say, even if you disagree with somebody. And the last piece is, we want to make sure that we don't have any personal attacks. Please keep it, general, because personal attacks usually turn into shouting matches, and we want to keep the meeting as pleasant and businesslike as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, first item on the agenda is proposed land use at 40030 Willis Road for a veterinarian surgery site or suite.
Chair, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for the proposed special land use at 40030 Willis Road for veterinary surgical unit suite.
Okay. Would somebody second it? So we can-
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Public hearing is open. We have them talk first.
Yeah, the applicant is here today,
Okay.
so if you would like her to come up and
Okay.
speak her piece and.
So our applicant is here tonight. Do you want to go to the podium and?
Hi guys, I'm Dr. Barlis. Can you guys hear me? I'm not used to talking at a podium. I understand there were some questions about what my practice is. So we've been open since 2022 and been practicing for about just over 6 years now, headed into year 7 as a licensed veterinarian. I heard there was a question about whether I'm licensed. I am. I have all of the licenses you could possibly have related to both the business, the pharmaceuticals, and the ability to practice as well. The question that I got a lot was people thought that we wanted to rezone our land. We absolutely do not want to rezone our land. I guess that's a separate topic being discussed today. And all we're looking for is permission to have people visit where my husband and I currently live at our private home, where we will build out of a building that's already on the property my surgery suite. Currently, we rent that surgery suite for low-cost, low-cost, high-risk surgeries, as well as low-cost spay-neuter. I understand there's been some concern, about the word high volume. For us, high volume is I see 10 tops a day, and the majority of those are coming from Friends of Michigan Animals Rescue, which is where we currently rent the suite from. But we want a little bit more room to get more diagnostic equipment and those sorts of things, which I can't grow out there, so we're wanting to move it to the property. And I've asked, and it looks like I have permission to ask if people have questions. Is that all right?
Okay,
You need to control the questions.
Right.
So all questions need to be directed to the chair,
right,
and you can decide at that point if somebody needs to answer it.
okay.
Right.
And also, you need to tell us who you are, where you live, so that we can put it in the minutes. Okay, so
Do you want me to sit? I'm sorry, this is my first one. I don't know what to do.
She
Okay.
can stand there if you
She
want.
can stand,
Okay.
yeah, okay. Yes, ma'am?
Julie Pentowski, 39930 Willis Road.
Okay,
10 people on a private drive, Monday through Friday.
Oh, no. Thank you for asking that. Yes, it's currently, and we would like
Hold on
to.
one second, okay, so the
Pardon me?
protocol would be to address the chair. Are we gonna just allow the questions? Is that it's your choice as to how you wanna deal with it?
direct it
And
here,
then,
and then we'll,
let's just keep it in order, otherwise you get going back and forth, okay?
Okay.
Yeah.
Apologies.
okay. So,
Yeah,
now,
their answer, yeah. I'm not-
you may answer now.
Okay. We currently have surgeries twice a week. The remainder 2 days of the week I spend on the road. So we're fully mobile for everything except surgery. I do everything out of my clients' homes, out of an SUV. And the surgery component, 10 is the absolute maximum I think I've ever had, and it's quite rare. Typically, we're seeing anywhere from 4 to 6 clients twice a week.
Okay. Is there any other people? Yes, ma'am?
My name's Lisa, I live at 40040 Willis Road,
Okay, Lisa what?
Solars.
Okay,
And the issue is the easement and the property rights right there. And that's a big, if we have all that traffic, we only have, it's only a one-way down there and one way back. There, They go over our land all the time, as it is. It's ridiculous. It's not a two-car, it's only one way down. And you have to wait for somebody to go past and then be able to go, the other car would be able to come back through.
Are you aware of this easement right away?
We are aware of it. Unfortunately, with the records being so old from the original approval, we just need a little bit more time to fully get to the bottom and see exactly whether it's been recorded with Wayne County and whether or not, if the property owners who are concerned about it, they can provide either a maintenance agreement for the private road, or any sort of records that they may have, so we can also figure that out as well.
Okay. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question, I'm sorry. Marcia Harkai at 40001 Willis Road. My house is right in front of that easement, and I'm concerned about a whole lot of traffic for one. Because as it is, road commission doesn't even do our road half the time. So there's traffic, I mean, our roads are horrible as it is, but, and then I have a concern also, if this opens and has permit to do so, is this eventually going to become a clinic and then it's gonna be more traffic? Because give an inch, people take a mile, so that's my question.
Okay, you want to speak to, can they change it?
Well, what the
Throw it?
commission can do as the recommending body to the township board is enact conditional approvals. So essentially what that is they could limit the size or the scope of the business. So if we were worried about traffic, we would say, however you develop the inside of the current property in the existing building, that's as far as you can go. There would be no more expansions allowed. So that way, if they wanted to expand, they would have to do it somewhere else, and they would be limited to the scope of wherever the existing building is.
And the reason I had him talk is he's our planning person. Okay. Way back in the back?
Yeah, hi, Connie 60, I live at 40150 Willis Road. Am I understanding this right, they've already run a business out of there? A veterinary business out of the room?
Let her,
Okay, would you answer that?
I am a mobile doctor, so I travel, but clients do not currently come to the home, no, if that answers the question.
One of us are very concerned that children ride their bike up and down that road. It's already a very busy road, and as you've heard, not well maintained. Anyone considering that, the children?
Well, that, as Joe said earlier, you would have to work with the person that you have the easement right away to get that maintained and taken care of. Yes, ma'am?
Hi, Marie Godowski, 40160 Willis. Speaking of children, there are a number of children in the area. Our kids are very active. As neighbors, we're very active. On the roads, people walking dogs. Our kids sell lemonade. I mean, people are driving like crazy anyway down this road. Can you talk about how this would not put our kids and our families and our, this is our home, not a business area, this is our residential area. So we really need to have this piece. Can you please speak a bit better?
Okay, ma'am, I don't think she's capable, or is any of us are capable of speaking to the us driving the way or not driving. And asking to make a solution to that is really possible.
I don't know how to talk, but this is a safety to our citizens.
Yes.
I'm just gonna say to that, I'm not sure if even understanding the neighborhood. We're not interested in traffic in our neighborhood with a business being located literally inside of the neighborhood. Can somebody speak to that, please?
Okay. Did you? Okay.
Yes, I wanted to clarify something, good doctor. You were saying it's twice
Yes.
you're going to have people out of the business. If it,
Yes. May I give more details? Is that allowed?
So I just wanted
Okay.
to clarify, so you're just twice a week, only 2 days,
Yep.
and it's 4 to 6 hours a day this week. So that's be 8 to 10 for an, so,
The clients may bring more than one animal. The goal with relocation as well, that I will be able to have a setup where we will have less clients bringing more animals, if that makes sense. So there are groups that organize, for example, Feline Fund is a group that has people that have feral cats. So we can do a larger volume of a larger facility, which is already on the property that we own. Facility being the building, I should say.
yes.
And our goal is to have less clients and less traffic. The clients that we have currently, just from a safety standpoint even for the animals, is they all have a particular time slot to show up. Everybody is there between 9:30 and 10 at our current location, and they're all gone before 4 o'clock. So it's outside of rush hour as well.
Thank you for that clarification.
Certainly.
Okay. Yes, ma'am?
Marcia Arkai again. Okay, so and don't get me wrong, they're very nice people, so it's not anything personal. But my concern is they might start with 2 days, and there is a feral cat problem, there are feral animal problems and whatnot. They might feel they need to go to 3 days now, to 4 days now, and then we're getting back to the business end of it. And then, so if you okay this, is it then leave them open to go to 3, 4, 5 days?
As Joe indicated earlier, we have the ability to make a proposal to limit the amount of usage, days, or things like that. Some new people, way back in the back.
Linda Mitchell,
Uh-huh.
0295 Willis. On the letter, it says there will be no boarding, but how are you gonna guarantee that if there's complications of an animal who's had surgery? Are you going to board them?
Okay, would you answer that?
May I answer? I'm sorry, again,
Yes.
this is new for me. We have no boarding if there is a complication with an animal. That animal is transferred to a local emergency center. And we do have relationships already with certain emergency centers that can provide that 24/7 care. Knock on wood, that's not happened yet, and we hope it never does. But I have zero interest in keeping any animals other than my own on the property.
Yes, ma'am?
I have, my issue is, how are we gonna keep people off our land? Seriously, they drive on our land. My granddaughter almost got, killed because somebody was doing 50, which is a 10 mile/hour, nobody follows, 10 miles on that private road. Nobody follows, there's ruts in the place. My husband was on his tractor, he got flown off of it because he hit a rut, because they had gone into our yard. Who's to prevent that from happening? And who's gonna be responsible if they do it, and somebody gets hurt? Because that could happen.
Chair, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to address it. I believe, and I hear you, we live in the country, there are a lot of things that happen on our dirt roads. There's people that drive down our road and do the very same thing, but that's not as a result of anything that the doctor's done.
I'm not saying that it is.
Right, but I just want to make that clear. So this is something that's happened in the past. I don't personally believe that having a few more cars in the week is going to cause more of a problem, but the people that are going there are not going to be driving over your lawn and things like that.
They do now.
That has nothing to do with her. So let's keep those comments.
Because there's one, you only have room for one car to go down the road. You
Understood.
have one, and then you have to wait for that person to get down the road, and then then the other person can come down the road. There's no room for 2 cars to go down that road.
Well, that happens.
So they go over people's lawn and dig it up.
Okay, well, that happens to be the easement right-of-way that you have to work out with the people that gave the easement right-of-way. And as Joe said earlier, that needs to be looked into and figured out what the parameters are. Because technically, if somebody's driving crazy like that, and I live on a road that's not maintained by Wayne County or the state of Michigan, I'm still calling Sumpter Police. Do you do that?
Oh, yeah, we've called plenty of times.
Okay. So that's a recourse that you have available to you. Whether you're on Willis Road, or you're on Martinsville Road, or you're on your easement right-of-way road.
But there's no easement in there. There has not been established. when those houses were built, there was never given an easement down there.
Okay, well, I can't speak to that, so we'd have to look into that. Is there, based on,
Well, if there is concern about the width, the property owners can always come before the township board to apply for a private road application, which would in turn require reconstruction of the road that would give it width for 2 cars. So if the property owners want to come together and create that maintenance agreements that goes over this existing easement and widens the road and improves it, then that's totally an option you guys can use.
Why should we have to pay for it, and why should we give any more property up?
Right.
well,
Chair?
yes.
If I could- And I think, you know, what he's saying is you've already identified a problem. You've said you people are doing this now. He's giving you an option to try to relieve that current problem that's happening on your street. People going into your ditch, causing your husband to bounce off his tractor and that kind of stuff. The people that are on the road now could get together and come together with a different easement so that you would have 2 cars passing. Has nothing to do with what's on the table with this.
Yeah.
This would potentially increase a little bit of that traffic, but Joe was giving you an option for the problems you've said exist now. This is how you would help resolve those current problems.
How would we resolve it? By giving away our land? I don't have any more land.
Say you had to, but you're saying people are driving property, so the rest have to get together and say, look, easement from 33 to 50 feet, so we have a double lane, so we're not driving on these properties. Again, these are issues that you're bringing to the commission here that is not relevant to what's happening here, therefore there could be a traffic. Sounds like you already have a traffic problem on the road of dangerous people driving on it. It means I would be talking to your neighbor about whoever they have coming to that easement, you know, putting danger now.
Right. And we don't have the capacity to fix it or get a solution. You have to make a civil with the property owner, whoever,
Yep.
easement, and all of you.
I
Okay.
clearly understand that this would potentially increase the frequency that you
Right.
say already on the property. Yeah.
Right. Yes, way in the back?
Do I need to restate?
Yes.
Marie Goodell, 401. I actually have a number of questions, but I'm just gonna. So environmental issues. This is a business, you know, pole barn, pollution, small animal trailers, full waste, excess noise. I don't know, large or small animal clinics, strictly. Also, there could be impact to groundwater, depending on where this waste is distributed, and pathogens, disease, like we talked about animals in the area, or even other people. You know, in contact with random animals they're bringing over. So, in addition to that, you know, doing for commercial waste. There's, you know, this is commercial at that, and I have a garbage truck and maintenance of the property, extra, some of the other extra noise pollution, oil and water pollution, light pollution, noise pollution, the
Jim, you want to speak to that?
May I please speak to?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. To clarify, it's small only, so I do dogs and cats. All of the animals are either owned or under care, so such as like a TNR, trap, neuter, release, feral cat. So there isn't as far as manure waste or things like that, which I would questions. I think those are important things. Fortunate that things be such a big concern for you guys really have to meet me. I was aware that it wasn't very normal, that it wasn't normal a hair salon, mechanic shop, or a cooking business out of your home in the country. I certainly love this area. That's why my family moved here. If it doesn't, we'll find another way. But I moved here because we loved the culture here, and we wanted to be part of the culture here, change the culture here. And so I just ask you to remember that I'm human and I'm here. Just want to listen to the concerns. Pollution is actually incredibly important to me. It's been crazy. I can't see in the dark, and I see much better than him, I've been told. So that we currently have not left on, they are motion activated for safety reasons. Just as a family, we like to have that kind of security. We take our runoff as well very seriously. We grow food out there now. I was told the person who lived there also had a pet farm. So I don't know what to do is any work the petting farm supposed to this individual had.
Okay, guys,
I just know what told me when we purchased property, everyone.
okay. So, yes, ma'am?
Kowski, 3930 Willis. My, is to the of you when you look to your left as you drive out of your driveway. My backyard. I have 2 children. I have house pets. Speak to my peace, please. Buy only a couple more cars a day. It's not only a couple more to me, it's more, and that's my peace, because that's more noise. And I don't like that, so I want you to speak to that. Understand us. Yeah, we don't want that. We moved to the country for peace. You bringing a business in our opinion, regardless if it's 2 days a week, a couple cars here and there, disturbs my peace, regardless.
Okay,
Also speak to my children's safety, bringing more individuals into our neighborhood. That not necessarily would ever be there.
yes, sir?
Yeah.
264 or 150 Willis Road. We just don't want no more traffic in there, but we don't need it. If the locals are driving on their lawn, and then the people from out of town that don't know this area, they'll be here front porch. Just a thought.
Okay.
County 64 or 150 Willis Road. My question is to the board, is the township prepared, do you have an employee that will go out regularly that whatever restrictions have been placed on the business are being followed?
Yes, we do have somebody that does that.
Okay, can I ask, who is that? Is that the ordinance officer?
The ordinance officer would be assigned to review it periodically, and a lot of these come, they're generated by complaint. If there's a complaint, the ordinance officer would review what the complaint is and look and see a determination. And it would start with consultation. I mean, it's the first there. And the goal is compliance, and from that.
Well, we have a down around the corner, whatever they did, I don't know if they're still doing it. Personally have gone to the officer. The place is like corner mess. They have stacked everywhere, light is terrible. Somebody else talk to them. Nothing done.
Well, they're not. I mean, what I'm trying to say is we have an ordinance officer and ordinance officer all the time in court twice a month, and stacks of files on the ceiling here many times. We open files, and the biggest issues that we're with. Pretend that somehow we dealt with it in the township would be ridiculous to say. All I can say is if you're not satisfaction with the ordinance officer, at least as it relates to what you have, you can call the supervisor's office or the clerk's office, leave information, and I can tell you we've had a number of follow-ups on the people have those complaints. What it is that we're also in the process of going to the second ordinance officer. That person will probably, well, it's going to be on consideration in the meeting or two, in all good. That ordinance officer will be working weekends. We'll have a 7-day-a-week coverage, and their purpose is to deal with all of the things we're talking about. I mean, trying to clean up the neighborhood, trying to get people to comply.
We already have an ordinance officer. We have files filed.
Well,
How is he gonna manage the situation?
I mean, I don't answer the question. I mean, the issue that you're talking about probably multiplied a couple of hundred in the township. So deal with these things that come up in as best we can. I'm familiar with your complaint. And so what I'm suggesting is that I'd have to ask them is there's different opinions sometimes. And citizens believe that somebody should buy property a certain way, and we're limited to laws and to the extent that we can enforce this. So I beg to differ with you. We enforce blight. This is quite substantial in this township. I mean, you may not like the way it's being handled there. Maybe there is something to look at. but I'm safe, I have knowledge that there's a lot of enforcement going on in this town. There's a lot of disgruntled citizens in this township that'll vote for that.
I would like to,
Well, you can come to court on Monday if you want. There'll be a whole slew of, I mean, that are gonna be complaining about something, so.
If I could add, in, it says Zachary, you can come to a board, we have a packet, this, all of the open, this is the closed case, that's provided to the board, and you are more than happy to have a copy of the active case. And what I said is that we're going to be adding a second one, potentially, it's going to become a board table, so that we would, the number of ordinance officers trying to manage the blight. You manage the blight today, next week, there, you know, so the person goes to their old habits, right? People up for a while and they go back to their old habits, and we have to go revisit them. But this is looking at second ordinance officer to try to handle, you know, the complaints that citizens have about. And I think Attorney Holmes was trying to, is you looking at somebody's property, cut wood and other things on there, you may look at as blight. The court may say that's his business inventory, and not allow us to enforce that. So what he meant by a difference of opinion, courts are the ones that end up telling us whether we're right or we're in the right regulating somebody's property that we should be regulating.
Ma'am? Mm-hmm.
105 Road. Going back to that, is there something that tells you what the is? I know off subject, that the property that numerous campers, trailers, the list, washers, dryers, or what's the, is there something in the Sumpter Township website that's like list, like, hey, you know, like you said,
There are certain, I'll give you a couple examples. You're not allowed to have a car on your property that's not legally licensed. Put it up for sale, doesn't have a legal tag on it. You know, there's ordinance that help us try to regulate that. Attorney with the gray hair that take things to court, and the very favorable homeowner for rights. You know, your neighbor, how to manage your. The courts are very, they side homeowners a lot of times with, you know, that they have to do, you know, maybe not to the extent, but maybe have. They're very pro-resident in these type of situations, and sometimes 6 months to a year for us to go to court to continue bring evidence and show. So it is a tough thing, but yeah, there are ordinances in place that we use to help mitigate that blight.
Okay, my question back to the subject is, so say we notice traffic's picking up, things are moving along, we contact you, you have an ordinance in place or whatever says you can only do 2 days a week, we contact you and say, hey, we think things are picking up, is that the process that we would take?
Well, you wouldn't contact the planning commission
Okay.
because we have no control over doing anything.
You'd contact
You would
the
have to
township.
contact.
Supervisor's
Township,
office.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
have a complaint, we're
Yep.
noticing
Right.
there's a lot going on.
Yep. Supervisor's office takes a lot of those, and then they pass it on to the ordinance officer, and they manage it from there. And then again, if he goes out and starts a case, it goes on that list that I told you about that we publish, you know, for the board members, so that, you know, people can see what we're working on. Yeah.
All right, so I've been waving my hand a little bit here. So Brian Pentalski, 39930 Willis. First of all, I moved out there as a country, just peaceful, quiet, etc. My fear is you're going to have, we said estimated, is it 8 people a week? I think 8 patients a week perhaps. So that's 416 different individuals coming down our street, minimal. Not there and back, maybe this and that, per year, right? So if you have 416 people at 8 people per week, minimal, that's 416 people that never drive down our street, that are never paid for the road that are torn up, the dust that flies around, stuff that my kids are playing outside with. Also, the crime. These people that come through here that don't live on our streets, who's to say they're not riding the garage open? Oh, what's going on here? Every neighbor around here is probably the same way. We drive open, drive around golf carts, You're not gonna do that same thing with another 416 people driving on the roads. I promise you that.
So,
Can you speak to that?
do you?
These are just comments.
Yeah,
periods.
these are comment, yeah, I mean, and you know, we can't regulate crime either. I mean,
But
it
this
can
is
be
the
the crime.
understanding.
You've made your point,
Yeah.
okay? You've
We've
made your
heard-
point, that's the purpose
May I
here.
speak to it? Is that appropriate? I am trying to be respectful. If I can't speak, I won't, but
Okay.
I feel like that's desired, and I want to be able to have these conversations with the people around us, but I also respect the fact that you don't want me showing up, knocking on your door in the middle of the day to introduce myself. So when I discussed with the township, how do we start this? This is what I was told to do, and that's why I'm here today. And some of these things weren't mentioned to me until the day before regarding the easement. I had no idea, and I talked to the gentleman that spoke with me about it and said, if that's a thing, we should find out. In regards to the safety is something that I take very seriously as an individual, just having lived through some serious things in my life. And so the people that are coming down our street for the large 4th of July event that happens, we have no control over that. We have no control over who's driving the Amazon truck or the UPS truck or anything else. And I recognize that if I am having more people come to us, that yes, that increases that risk. What that amount of risk looks like could be any number of positions. I'm not sure. Typically, and I can't say for sure, typically the people that are relatively healthy animal that's going to get spayed are be the type of people that take care of the animal. Typically, people that take care of animals are relatively decent human beings, the rest of us. And if there was ever any type of concern, my family would handle it the same way I would if we were on a different street or if it was just my personal home. So in regards to children, which I think is very important to discuss, and animals, one of the reasons we teach when people are is for animal safety. Knock on wood, we've never had to get loose or anything like that. We'll also entire property fenced. For the safety of those around us, it's going to be very clear where these people should go and not go. And no different than whoever's packages delivering DoorDash to us. I don't want them, wandering around on my property. I wouldn't expect anyone else to. So control what anyone else would do. Anyone can control anything anyone else would do. I, as they said, I can't change crime rate. I can't change if are playing in somebody's dramatically. That's horrible. I don't want those kind of people in my community more than you would. I hope that as here we can talk about being our community. That's why my family is here, and I thank you for doing that. I want to address you personally, so that it is a particular that you're living. If this was done, we'd be good. I would love to hear that. Things are important. I respect that.
Okay. Are there any new questions?
Tom Mitchell, 40295 Road. It's going to be for 2 days only. And what are the hours 2 days going to be? And I live in a residential neighborhood, not in a business neighborhood.
Okay, she's already mentioned the 2 days, and it will be from time to what time?
Drop off between 9:30. My team arrives at 9:15 because they like to arrive, even though I stop arriving early. I show up at 9:30. The arrives at 9:30, and they leave at between 4 and 4:30. Typically set it up to help both us and ourselves also have families able to leave outside of rush hour. So administration work is done outside of those hours at home with my in regards to staff, just because I know that will be really a big question, it's myself. I own the hospital, and then I do support staff. They off of Judd for us. That's it. There is a large number of support staff we'll be visiting. Actually, will likely couple because one the other on the way into work, if you will. They tend to do considerable already. And I have zero interest in hiring any additional doctors or expanding in that way. Do anything other than, I don't want to do a way to prove anything, but I have a very comfortably quiet life. I want to continue to be very peaceful that I have currently.
Sure. I want to, everybody knows that in our township and in most communities, a lot of the ability to have a home business for a occupation. Our current ordinance allows a person to have a small repair shop, perfectly legal. You drive down the community, you see a weld shop, you see a beekeeper. People have a lot of home businesses in our residential areas, and it's a lot. Always welcome in our community, and there's probably you that to a local business at some a tax person. Go down Martinsville Road, a tax business. So this is something that is normal in the community to have business. I also, it's a residence, right? If everybody decides to put in a home business or a business like this, it's no longer residential. So there's a balance that it has to be. I want everybody to know that currently most everybody in here could start 50% of the size of your house you could have as a home business.
Do anything different or taxes or which is a concern, taxes, property value, home ordinance, some of those days of business behind you.
I hear that.
So those-
Tax assessor, I don't work for the insurance carriers. We all know our insurances are all going because of what's going on in the world.
Right.
We're unable to say, and she's unable to say that.
Questions we,
Yeah, but they're questions that are not questions that can be answered.
this
Wait.
is what this is for though.
Can I answer
But-
that, please? With having already owned the hospital, and having a home and having home insurance, I obviously to your insurance, but I've never been asked, and somebody has, that is there beside you or such. We're on just 7.5 acres. To be inside the business, you'd have to be our immediate. I know some of you, but then part of what Joe and I had spoken about was understanding what the easements are like so that all is done properly. There's nothing that I know of in my research that would affect anybody else from a financial standpoint. And the building is already there. The building exists. We just want to change the inside of the building.
Okay.
Sure. I have a question. How are the pharmaceuticals going to be handled on site? Because I'm assuming there would be some type of amount of pharmaceuticals on site. I mean, obviously, people would be concerned about how they're going to be secured. Would they be a target for robbery? You hear about pharmacies getting broken into all the time, and even animal clinics, because they go after some of the animal tranquilizers and things like that. Could you speak to that?
May I speak? Okay. So that's a very good question and something I take incredibly seriously. So I do obviously have pharmaceuticals. Some of those pharmaceuticals are over the counter, some are prescription, and some are what's called controlled. I am licensed to carry all of those. And the way that they are stored currently on the property is under federal regulation. And I follow those federal regulations. At any point, I would hope none of you would, but you have every right to call the DEA and say, hey, I think something sketchy is happening. And they can come and evaluate how we store everything, how we log everything. We had mentioned that the fence will be built. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, I moved into your community. I live here, people know my name. And if somebody's going to try to break in because I live here versus because my hospital is known to be there, it's not going to change what happens to me personally. And I would hope that no one would try to chase me out of town because I happen to be a veterinarian. It's very sad to think about. We were very excited to move here. I worked very hard to move here. This is our dream home. We purchased the property that we hope to die on one day, hopefully very long time from now. And so all of the pharmaceuticals are locked as they would be in any other hospital or as anybody who has any type of painkiller or otherwise in their own home should be doing, which I'm sure many people are not, because it's very common to have personal home pharmacies. I understand that, I don't judge that, but I take my pharmaceuticals very seriously. Does that answer your question, sir?
Absolutely. But I do have a follow-up, because, what you said there, I took to heart. I don't think anybody wants to see you out of the community, or run you out of the community. I think the people that are here are more worried about their residential neighborhood and a commercial style business, right? You moving into the residential neighborhood, I would think everybody would be here happy to have you there.
Thank you.
I think, the comments here are more of, you're here as a resident, but now you want to be here as a commercial business or a semi-commercial business in the neighborhood. So I just, when I heard that, I was like, we love you here in Sumpter, but, we may not love to have a commercial business in our residential area.
Thank you, and I respect, I'm sorry, can I talk? I respect that, and I hope that as you all get to know me and my family, unfortunately, my husband is at home right now with our dogs because they just had surgery, so they're all in cones, and so he couldn't be here today. He was planning to come initially to the meeting, but it had to be rescheduled. In regards to I apologize, I just lost what I was gonna say. You were mentioning about moving here. That I can't control or have an impact on what anybody else has already done in the community, the blight that they've made, the driving erratically that we've done. All I can do is go through the proper channel, and that's what I've tried to do. I want to do anything he kind of way. A number of people in this room have actually contacted me, helped me on the with their animals. So it's very surprising here that there's one part that they want the doctor when they need it, don't want it when they don't. I respect that. But I would, how is this different than a hair salon? Many people have salons, homes, or mechanics. And so I want to hear why, that I can either put your mind at ease or see why you're not at ease.
Yes, ma'am?
Going, gentleman, that was.
Matthew Adi, I got a name tag. Nice to meet you.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Marcia.
It wasn't answered disposal. All that's done.
Joe, the,
Waste this
we're gonna have our planning.
pharmaceutical disposal?
Yes.
I'm not an expert at pharmaceutical disposal, but if there's any,
I am. It's my job. And so to clarify, are you about the drug itself, the actual pharmaceuticals?
Whatever is needed in the office to do business with that.
Yeah, we follow all of the lines that are both state and federally in place. Aware of any and some are different, but we can certainly discuss that. Thing as far as controlled drugs is the big one that would no longer be in use. It's illegal to just throw it in the trash. You have to send it back to a redistributor. Is the name? They have a fancy name for it. You send it back to a very specific company. There's a number of forms involved. That's how all of those pieces are done.
Okay, yes, sir?
Dennis, I worked with a long ago. The reason the question was asked, that easement is not, when those houses, before the house is easement, one, I was built. Gentlemen, the building through there, and, landfill, Bill, and there were all chemicals in there, and there was some night that made it love, and backfill it, so, reason was that, because and that house was first time I was 1956, and that easement, when it hit, if you didn't turn my property, which has happened.
Okay. Well, like we said earlier, we can't fix the easement here tonight.
That question, because there was already out there one time, they made a big.
And when the Belleville Hospital was torn down, demolished, that was lots of years ago, we've had no restrictions that we have today. So, yeah. Okay.
I do, pardon me, but there's a my property as well, and like I said, we are growing on that property. I would never do anything to harm my own, let alone those around.
Okay.
Chair.
Pardon me?
I just was, hello, Chair, if we
I-
on to
I think
any,
we need to
questions?
move on.
Do you have anything new? We
Yeah.
don't wanna go over.
I just want to ask a
Yeah.
question about that. I understand with the easement, the thing is you're asking them to come by and there's going to be people that's going there. The issue with that, there's more traffic. She's going to have supply. She's got other people that she works. She's got people moving down the alley. No. It just, it around, but let's say that I have to let somebody's people go down that easement is built for people to get to property, not for business.
It's part of her easement to get to her property. I mean, she has a right to get, ma'am, she has a right to get to her property too. The easement allows all the people on that easement to get to an land.
But it wasn't
Okay,
built for business.
it doesn't, we saw that today, so I'm gonna keep going back and talking about it. You had your hand, did you have a new question?
Okay, I live at 00012. Okay, just to the west is the, okay, right there. So property wise, the property goes middle road, right? Okay. Now, is that gonna end up being considered commercial if it went through?
No, the in the zoning would stay.
Right.
That's not what this is, though, is it? That's
A different agenda for
Yeah.
later.
I had
Yeah,
a number of
something-
people after me and my family.
Right.
That is not,
No,
so would not want
Can you
in
state
my
your
backyard.
name for the record?
I
There's
think
two
you
things
did.
on the agenda tonight.
Right, this and the group land.
That parcel numbers have nothing to do with the Willow or the Strawberry Lane parcel.
Right,
It's a second item on the
on
agenda
our
coming
agenda.
up. Probably if you go back to that, the other document that's for the hearing that we're currently discussing.
Right. We're gonna close down open hearing.
Motion.
Yes,
okay. All right. So at this point, the easement does not have to be a county road, is that correct, or is that being looked into?
we have no control over whether it
Oh, I'm
becomes
just
a
asking.
county road,
Correct, no, it'll stay
Yeah.
as a private road.
private road.
I'm not rezoning anything.
Yeah.
It's just a permit that says, yes, you may have people come to your home to
Right.
get their hair cut, but in this space, it's get their animals fixed.
Okay,
Sir, can you state your name for the record?
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes, say your name.
I didn't do that.
No.
no, you didn't.
Tom, last name Mittich, M-Y-T-Y-C-H.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
Need a
Okay.
motion to close.
I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Chair, before we
Okay.
go on, because I know there may be some more questions that come up, this is a recommending body, so if it leaves this body, it goes as a recommendation to our board, and there'll be an additional opportunity to speak to the, at the board meeting regarding the disposition of this public hearing.
Okay. Okay,
So
so,
it's not being settled today then?
No, ma'am?
no,
Okay, because I feel like they should at least get the easement taken care of before somebody's given a permit. We have more people down the street.
I wasn't aware of that though until yesterday morning. So I'm not
Okay.
saying I don't want
okay,
to.
everybody stop. The easement is not gonna be discussed anymore because it cannot be fixed here. So keep bringing it up, we'd be here until Christmas. So, no, the public hearing is closed, now the Township Planning Commission here.
Do we have a motion to second to close it?
Yeah, we did.
And we voted.
We
All right.
voted.
Perfect.
Okay, so now
I know
the,
you couldn't hear.
yeah, the five of us. or here?
Well,
Okay,
if you would like, commissioners, I could go over my report whenever you're ready.
I will entertain that.
Okay. So as we've already discussed, it is a veterinary suite as the subject of this agenda item. And the zoning of the property is RF Rural Small Farm, which allows veterinary suites as a special land use on the property. So therefore, as Matt's already mentioned, they're the recommending body to the township board. They'll have the final decision as to whether or not to approve the special land use. So with any special land use that goes into the township, there's a variety of criteria that we need to go over as a commission to make sure that it is meeting those ordinance requirements. All in all, there are 7 general considerations that are required for each special land use. So the first is whether or not the use will be harmonious and in accordance with the general objectives of the township master plan. As of right now, the township master plan designates the property as rural residential, which is to preserve the agricultural and rural character of the area with low-density, single-family, and similar uses. Also, we are discouraging any developments on any small lots that will require utility expansion. As of right now, we feel the proposed vet suite is accessory to an existing residential use and is providing a very, in my opinion, small-scale service to the residential area, as many residential homes here have animals that will need these services. The second criteria is whether or not the use will be designed and maintained in a harmonious and appropriate manner in appearance that is consistent with the general neighborhood. So pretty much making sure, we're not putting in a big pink building that's 3 stories tall. And as we've already mentioned, the use is going to be with an existing pole barn on the property. There's no plans to expand, and as a commission, you can recommend to the board to place a restriction on that to keep the size as is if we're worried about the use being expanded. And as the applicant's already stated, there is a low number of visits per week, only 2 days. The third criteria is whether or not it will be hazardous to nearby or future uses. As the applicants mentioned, the boarding will be indoors, no overnight boarding. So as of right now, I feel there's going to be a low, no hazardous or any really major disturbing activities such as a jackhammer or any radioactive waste coming out of this. Next is whether or not it'll be an improvement to the property in the immediate vicinity of the community as a whole. The use, again, is providing a service that will service many residential uses in the township for small-scale cats and dogs. As we already mentioned, there's no farm animal care being taken place. And whether or not the use will be served by Central Public Services and Facilities, which is Township Water and Sewer. If the vet suite were to ever install these types of utilities, it would need to be tied into the existing home, and we feel that no expansions to sewer or water would be needed here. And whether or not it would create an excessive additional public cost that would be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community, we are of the opinion that there would be no significant cost to the township that would require as a result of this use being put in. And then whether or not the use is consistent with the intents and purposes of the zoning ordinance. The intent of the Rural Small Farm District is to allow generally compatible uses with residential uses. And as we mentioned earlier, we feel that it is consistent with the intent of the zoning ordinance. And with all special land uses, there are specific considerations that need to be taken into place. As for veterinary suites, section 6.52 regulates that. And there's criteria, but only one to be applied here. The suite only allows small animals. There's no class 2 or 3 animals, which is farm animals, ducks, similar animals. So that the only requirement is that take place inside the, and the applicant has indicated that will do so. So with that in mind, with specific and the land use consideration, we feel it being satisfied. We recommend that the planning commission recommends approval to the township board. So if there's any questions you want me, I would be happy to now.
Any board member have any comments?
Absolutely. I have a couple. It would go up, actually, one of my questions, but it came from the audience is there a requirement to have, a dumpster site? Obviously residential garbage pickup, so it would require a commercial dumpster site. It would not be part of the residential pickup.
As far as I'm aware, the home base ordinances require separate, but as that there are certain materials that need to be displayed in a official, so I believe we would need more clarification from them as to how the process may be involved. But it's just trash, like wrapping, that I would assume, and if the applicant would verify that, it would just go with the additional, their existing residential garbage.
I'd say we probably need to delve into that, because the special land, you don't think, in my opinion, it should go in the direction. Because now, the township is paying for business to throw. This isn't a home business. This is a special land for a medical suite. Home business slide in. Home business should have a dumpster for their waste, because it's going residential, which we all, like to maybe see the list for further research, to understand that.
Sorry.
Oh, I have a couple.
No, I'm sorry, yeah.
Thing is, and I'll, there's not farm animal
Right.
service in this veterinary clinic. I mean, obviously I'm excited to have a housing in the community. I'd be more excited if your property had frontage right on the road, but being a farm community, it would be, I would say it more positive if we were a farming vet, business, and not a pet vet. Here for our farmers, people, it'd be great a veterinarian in our community, different community farms, and what their animals are and things like that. Do you have any, Chair, if I can ask her, do you have any to go and seek type of additional profession, horses and pigs, things that stick to just
If may, I have the legal too, so I have the license and the registration through USDA to be able to work on any species other than as personal interest. I do not service those animals, and I think that the feeling of the forum today is a nice example of why it is not a very loved profession. And just the cute dogs and kittens, we're already getting a lot of backlash, and that's a big reason that large animal are no longer servicing communities. Can speak.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any?
Yeah, just more just Doolittle while we're sitting, maybe we're talking. I never encouraged it. That I can remember.
Thank you, Rob. I think I your eyes and that doctor.
Yeah.
I want to see the country that everybody said they would do when they were in second grade. That's what I've heard my entire life. We have everything except the town permission for that to come true. That's how ridiculous it probably sounds. But for these small town country doctors to help the community and be a part of the community, it's time change coming. But I would hope this would be something positive as to the community and seeing us as the trying to come and change the number of things. We're just here to determine.
All right, so continue. So, Joe, I'm not stepping on you. You can take back. This special, I just got into this today, basically. So we got special land use, which means we can implement additional restrictions if you're so inclined. And that consider this, you should at least have some ideas to what those limitations requirements would be, both, when I've been through this a million times. And then next step would be, are we requiring a plan after this as the use, at least, how that's going to be laid out, address waste locations and all that. But you have to set that area now. So talk about hours, you can talk about those kind of limitations. If she agrees that a reasonable nature and public safety and health matters, welfare matters, then legitimate concern that you can address above and beyond. If this was simple permitted, you would not have the right to. So some of these ideas that are being presented, incorporated in requirements, with the understanding that if you violate those conditions, it's appropriate to come back to the planning, and the planning can actually review as special land use, and then permissions property and that you have to discontinue. There is an enforcement of this. So I throw that out. Times we those requirements and it's too late once the approval and recommendation is made. Number two, I missed this, and I apologize, just for the record, I was given today 2 letters that I think we should at least reference. Mr. Headley, Sterling Mark Headley, who lives at 40040 Willis Road, who opposes the request, and a lot of what he is saying is relates to what has been raised here tonight. He's talking about easement violations, safety standards, oversight, environmental issues, traffic, legal procedures or legal precedent as it relates to the easement. And then also there was a letter by Sandra, is she here?
No, she's on vacation.
Oh, okay.
Kaczynski?
Yeah, Kaczynski, is that right? She lives at 39600 Willis Road.
Right.
And she also opposes, so Samantha, at least we can put in the record that these were accepted as additional testimonial proofs, at least as to the position. Both oppose this. So I guess where I'm at is if you're inclined to move forward, then you need to cite and provide for certain limitations or requirements, or you can table, or you can deny. I mean, it's, those are your options, pretty much.
Okay. So,
If I may, I've received letters, the individual that you mentioned the letter of also has called me on the phone and we had a very positive conversation, I think. Excuse me. I wasn't aware of the concerns of the entire community and wasn't aware of how these things happen. And so I don't know if I need to bring some of the positive letters to you. I also know that there are people that are sitting here around us that have personally told me they're in favor of this. And I don't know why they have chosen not to speak up. That's their decision, and that's fine. But I do wonder if some of the hostility that I've received today, they're worried about that coming back on them in a small town.
Well, look, I mean, let's just end this right now. Really,
Positivity, hold on, please.
no, let's get ordered. We're not gonna go back and forth on this. This is done. So what people's opinions are and personal likes and dislikes is not what the planning commission considers.
Well, pardon me, no,
The plan, let me just finish.
they
The plan,
wanted the permit to go through.
well, the planning commission has to decide this in an objective manner. And based upon the information, there was a lot of good reasons that were discussed and raised tonight and presented, traffic, environmental, all of those things are legitimate things that need to be given to the township board and, or excuse me, to the planning commission, and you have that information, and you can process and use it, but we don't pick winners and losers based on who we like and who we don't like.
I didn't mean
It's
to
a-
imply that.
okay,
I meant
so-
that they are in support of the permit.
Yeah, I get that, and there's people that are in support, there's people that aren't in support, and that doesn't solve the problem. The issue that we're trying to deal with, I think, is based upon the presentation that was made and the criteria and the limitations that we have, the planning commission is charged with the decision of moving forward to make a decision one way or another as to what your options are.
okay, so as a commission, we need to decide what we're going to do. What we're going to either make a recommendation to the to the township board with provisions, or table it, or deny it.
Chair, at a minimum, I would think we would need to table it to either develop, a list if we were gonna incline to go that way, because developing it here at the table, there's been a lot of things that are put out there, but, thinking about it, you would come up with some more issues. The easement issue, although it's not for the township to deal with, it would be nice if there was some type of, legal document, that something that came through. We don't have anything that says it's an illegal easement. She uses it now, so in my eyes, it's a legal easement for her to use it any way she wants, or that she's legally allowed to do. And so at a minimum, I would, consider tabling it so that those lists of items can be put together and then considered by, a complete board. We are hindered a little bit here with a 4 of 7, but it would give us some time for the other members to maybe participate at the next meeting if it's tabled.
Okay. So that's your recommendation to table?
I didn't make the recommendation. I said that's what I would consider for discussion for the other commissioners.
Chair, if I may,
Mm-hmm,
I would like to make a motion to approve it.
okay. She would like to make a recommendation to approve it.
You got a motion made, is there support?
Do I have any support?
And with your recommendation to the township board, we can always incorporate a list of findings that we would like the board to also consider, so. And they will have access to the minutes as well, but if you as a commission would like to create a list, or at least a certain, just a list of what they would like to consider, then that's within the commission's right to do so.
But I think those need to be included with the recommendation though.
Right,
Correct.
So
right.
what her motion is to approve flat out.
The way it is right
the way
now,
it is
and we
right now.
can't
So
do
if you're gonna use conditions as to hours and days and all those things we talked about, then you have to incorporate that in the motion.
Right.
So
So
it dies for lack of support. So
Right.
continue.
okay, so do we have another proposal?
I'll make a motion to table it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay, all in favor of tabling it? Aye. Those opposed?
All right, and
Okay,
then-
so we're going to table
And the
this.
direction just is to gather some information and provide, we could have come back at the next planning commission meeting with at least proposals. Now, whether that's enough to get an approval or not is yet to be seen, but that's what you're talking about, Matt?
Yeah, and what I'd like to see as part of that is to have Joe, put down some of the things that we can, regulate to help us kind of generate that list. We're talking, the pharmaceuticals on site, I know there's federal and state law, but if there's any type of that, is required with that we would, what that requirement is, so that the application of the application, the hours, so I think the commercial, it's required, vet that out. And I don't know how we look at easement and that as part of the requirement. I don't think a legal right to an easement issue because it hasn't been adjudicated, unless the residents get a court order that says that, everything is on hold, easement is done. I don't think we can use the easement.
There's three parts here, You've got prescriptive, all kinds of arguments. I mean, I'm not a judge. I'm not gonna run an absolute opinion. It looks like I'm gonna take a look at it, see what I can find, the information from the money and whatever we have here. But the report would be planning commission and ultimately the township board. It's up to the public to realize taking on that responsibility. There's a lot more to it than that. At least preliminarily, look at it.
Is 30 foot a proper these days ordinance?
I don't know, I think it's 66, isn't it?
Depending on if it's a class A or class B, I think it varies, but that would be something for me to check. Don't know off the top of my head. Normally you do see 66 foot.
There's very little chance would ever become road, right?
Right.
I mean, it would be those to be taken.
Have issues, if we're at positioning a commercial business at the end of a private road, we have fire issues, for ground access and things, all be addressed. And you take list there, Joe, to put on there. And those are things we discussed tonight, but those are things that come up when this type of situation. We have plenty of private roads that don't have the proper term. We're talking about enhancing what happens on particular private road. And I think that should be as part of the enhancement.
As a side should be addressed. This is project isn't.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're going to have engines that are going to have to out the road as opposed to being able to. So
Right.
a lot of issues like that.
Ruts.
Mhm. And get stuck. Okay, so table that. Next on our agenda is the renaming of following parcels from MHP to R or R1. And parcels are 81-71, 99-0004, 000, 81-07, 9-007, 000, 81-00, 071-99-003-00. The fourth, 81-01-99-006-000. And the last one, 171-001-705.
I think this is
Okay.
public.
Yep. Make a motion to open that public hearing for rezoning of the parcels you previously from MHP to F or R.
Okay. I need a support. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, public is open.
Question on this one? Yeah.
Yeah, we can first.
Go first.
First, if you-
Okay. Sir,
These properties are located on Rawsonville Road, just north.
I'm just asking for a letter.
Yeah. Yep. Yep, it's north of the Woods trailer park.
sir, you're here. Do you want to speak? Yeah. You're welcome. Go to the podium.
My name is Schlussel, attorney at Carson Fisher, representing one of the owners of 4 of 5 parcels, the Shostak, Fisher, Rossonville, LLC. Make it easy, I'll refer to the one parcel of the 5 that it does not own. It is the parcel D number ending in 00000-00. The first one on that list is the one they do not own. Of the 4 remaining 4, it is approximately 90 acres of land. Here to request that the Commission reject consideration to rezone the parcel from the MP designation to RF or R1, or in the alternative for maybe future consideration to rezone the parcels to the designation current zoning ordinance, understanding that the MHP designation has been revised to RHC, I believe, or RMH, right? One of the primary reasons we object to this proposal to rezone properties is my client's active discussion regarding the development of properties for manufactured housing, and the owner does have an expectation that it will remain under the present designation. I believe, it is my understanding, all of you received the letter I sent last week dated September 4th, outlining the reasons that my client opposes this rezoning. So I don't want to take a whole lot of your time tonight, but I do want to highlight a number of reasons why this proposed rezoning fails to satisfy the criteria and requirements of Section 3.01C of the zoning ordinance that sets forth the criteria to amend the zoning map. First, the goals of and policies of the master plan are met even without rezoning these properties. If the overarching goal of the master plan is to preserve the rural nature of the township, which we greatly respect, according to the data contained in the master plan, of the township's total land area, rural or single-family zoning designations comprise over 75% of the township's area. My client's property consists of 0.37% of the township. I just want to repeat that again. It's far less than even 1%. It's 0.37% of the township's total land area. Its rezoning will have a de minimis impact on the preservation of the township's rural character. Additionally, there is no real market for single-family homes in the township on a large scale. This is not an in-demand use, or as previously noted, a designation that is lacking in the township should the demand arise. There are literally thousands and thousands of acres available in the township to allow for large tract single-family homes. As a result, it seems to us that the township's desire to downzone these parcels is a disguised taking by the township to prevent the use that has been contemplated for these parcels for decades. Additionally, if rezoned, it would create an incompatibility with the developed property to the south, thus further jeopardizing these parcels in question's economic viability. The owner has a distinct and unique investment-backed expectation with respect to the properties. Owner acquired the properties with the understanding and expectation that they could be developed for manufactured housing. An owner is currently, as mentioned before, in active negotiation over the property regarding its development and the rezoning. And a rezoning as proposed tonight will frustrate longstanding legitimate plans to use the property for manufactured housing. A property owner should retain the reasonable expectation that its property can be used for the uses under the zoning designation in which it acquired it. The township's attempt to downzone the properties, unsolicited or requested by my client, the owners, significantly diminishes its value and ostensibly renders it undevelopable for the uses in which it was originally designated, resulting in another form of taking of the properties by the township. Based on reasons that the proposed rezoning fails the criteria for rezoning under the ordinance, owner that the Planning Commission deny the consideration of zoning. There is a public benefit to the rezoning of the property. The financial loss would be significant to the owner, and as detailed in the letter, I believe is part of the record. The township's goals and policies for the master plan are preserved with retaining the existing zoning designation. If you have questions, I'll be happy to try to answer any of them.
The current owner buy the property?
I believe 20 years ago, I think 2004 if I'm not mistaken.
Over 20 years and done anything with the property yet?
No, they other than maintain it, pay tax.
When you said down zoning, what by down zoning?
Making it a less use than current exists.
But, okay, I want to make, to me, it's an because, per acre cost, value of the land, it's, split in acres becomes tremendous than a parcel. So I'm sure we were on the same page. Just for,
No, I understand.
Okay. I have one question. Joe, I look back as I could look. I've been on the commission since 2008, and all the way back to that master plan has always been set up to, for future land use as single homes. That's the intended use of the property. Do we know how back that goes?
I would need to take a look.
Because we're getting pretty close to, when your client bought it, I don't know when it was actually designated as future land use, but it's important to know if, when it was just or shortly after, it's designated to be family home, for quite a long time. So
I know I can not necessarily answer that, but in the 2000 master plan, it had almost, I word for word, master plan in terms of its future land use and designation.
Yeah.
And that the township used to bring up this zoning of the property anytime between 2018 and today.
Yeah. But we have a new board and, moving our township forward, so we're trying to tackle some of those in the future land, so the residents can see what we're doing for them, try to build it up. Yes, if I could get that, I'd appreciate it.
Which goes back to 20.
I think back to 20, because the next one is 2015. I had one from 2015. I'm looking for the ones that, but it's
Looking at a draft in 2007, so you're talking when it was enacted, the master plan, okay.
what is it? Is it rural farm?
Yeah.
So to 27, that it's rural farm.
Your land use, not the existing. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
Are there people in the audience that have a question? Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. My name is
Yeah.
Marie Godowski, 60 Lily. I'm just wondering if you're not familiar with like exactly what you're, so is MHP home park to what's our
RF rural farm, it's basically single-family homes, lower density, single-family homes, or 2-acre lot.
I understand you don't want to build a home park?
We do. Retain the current zoning of manufactured housing.
Yeah, that's, I actually have a concern as a Sumpter Township resident, because as you know, that Holiday West Park that was crime and murder, and that's our police and our spend a majority of time is in our mobile home parks, is where you just invite, like, it's like it's fleas and things like that. So as a Sumpter resident would personally not for that.
Okay.
We don't need another home park.
Tina Piper, 100%. We have two, five.
That's a lot.
And when we read the Belleville report, there's 90% are the.
Where all our trouble is.
So I oppose it as.
Okay, Chair. Ma'am?
My name's Karen McMahon. Actually, I live at 0595 Watsonville, so we live right in front of. And I guess, I apologize for that, I don't understand. So, who wants to rezone? What, like, if the owner don't want to rezone, who to rezone it? The township?
Correct, yes. During the August 12th meeting, the Township Board is the rezoning of the park.
So they can do that?
By the Planning and Zoning Enabling Act, townships are to enact the master plan, yeah.
Okay, so what would that be? I'm just asking.
Yeah, so every future land use map is pretty much the image of how the township wants to grow and develop in the future. So with that, it's to serve as a guide for future development. So as of right now, rezoning this to the rural small farm or R1 district would help achieve the goals of the future land use map, which is why this is being brought today.
And how many homes do you foresee like putting in there?
If it were rezoned to rural small
Yeah.
farms, that would depend on whether or not it splits. I know there's a considerable amount of wetlands on a portion of the property, so that needs to be considered by Eagle and the township. But with the rural small farm district, I believe the minimum lot size is 1 acre.
90 homes. So, even with the mobile home park expanding, Rossonville Road is dangerous. I've lived on it for 30 years. They just made the ditch in front of our house even deeper. They narrowed our driveway. We've had people crash into our ditch. Traffic, they run like it's I-94 down that road, and it's dangerous. And it's already hard pulling out our driveway now with the traffic coming out of Rossonville Woods. And I would be concerned with the amount of traffic that more homes is going to cause on that road that's already congested. I mean, I'm sure you guys all know, it's a dangerous road.
Chair, if I may,
Yes.
do we know what the percentage of our trailer homes are right now of our population?
Yeah, as of with the assessing records that we've referenced, out of all the mobile or single-family units in the township, mobile homes consist of 38% of the stock.
That answers my question.
Obviously, the township has no exclusionary zoning in place as it relates to manufactured housing. I mean, that's a given. I think we are probably one of the top, what is the number?
Probably, we're in the top 5, if not the top single community with the highest per capita of mobile home and trailer parks. And we're looking for that number now. I mean, if you watch our meeting, our police chief actually was discussing, where the most of our activity is in our community with police and fire. And it is overwhelmingly, in the 5 trailer park units, because in his estimation, the population of our community is 25 to 30% of the community in the trailer park. We have a huge number of calls that go to those resources in those areas. And obviously, you know, looking at your land map, that probably was taken into consideration when they put in act go, that, you know, we have 5 parks, and we want to then now do single-family home developments. You know, I'd love, you know, some larger single-family. You know, you said there's no here, but there is there down here. We have a apartment. We're building a lot of homes. In fact, a couple of apartments, you know, are being considered development also on the road. Both contractors have asked about townships that are owned there, single family home. Yeah, so the answer to your question, it just came up in our township meeting. The police chief is going to number, but he is 25 to 30%, which he always would probably be number one in the state of Michigan as, you know, mobile homes to residential homes.
I think the other issue is the homes that we're talking about in our township, aesthetic ability, like if you look at residential estates or woods, boom, 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 boom. And, you know, we just factory in those areas.
And, you know, for and the residents, more of, we have large population of manufactured, you know, we would like to increase single family homes and single subdivisions, 1 acre, you know, lots. There is no sewer down that far on Rock Road, so there would have to put in down there the developments that are going through, most likely the large developments.
You know, all these are personal opinions as such, but the township looked at, Sumpter Township situated for opportunities for builders and home builders, and proximity to 94 also, say with 270, large land out here. What we're missing is infrastructure. Once we started on water and sewer, we moved to the west because our stations and everything is to it would be the northwest part of the town. So real innovation is not to disparage the existing parks. We recognize that as a fact, but the purpose is to try and develop more single housing projects in these vacant areas. I mean, that's the vision seen by the township, not to get any step to current housing homes communities. There was a time when we were very close to Russell was going to convert to small homes. We're going to take care of discontinue the housing, and we were excited about that. If you remember, now and to disparage that, try and develop the stick-built homes to develop neighborhoods, and we address all opportunities in the township. We're a little bit light on elements, but those are going to be included in the future land use also. This is where we're at.
If I may, it doesn't, correct me if I'm wrong, in our master plan, if we already got 38% that are of our population, more, doesn't that go against our plan and all initiatives that we're putting forward to try to do single family?
That's the existing, right? So the future is to look at open land that it currently is used. So when those were put in, those parts are already in place, already in there. You know, now we're looking beyond that for, you know, opportunities of stick single family home, right, which we want to track.
To reach current mobile home park manufactured housing communities would be to create non-conforming uses. Not going to discontinue, but it creates all kinds of issues. I mean, they're there, and right now we're trying to create enforcement, improve to deal with that. Even not really for this gentleman, but clients don't even have an operation. Vacant land is for the construction of a manufactured house community. So, accusing anything.
No.
But I'm going to give you the whole background as to what the plan in the township board is. What the vision is to increase the build or single homes in the community.
That's exactly what I mean. If it stays in place as is, it would encourage more trailer parks instead of single-family homes.
About this to the east, we've got the landfill. We've got the land park. So there's not the same kind of opportunities over there, and landfill's the landfill. So we have to look more to the center and to the west. Why the west? Closer to the sewer connection. It's dollars and cents. It costs us more infrastructure expense to build something in the middle of the town or to the east. That over. We just think that the thing to do would be to start at the west and then move in the direction because we have better opportunities to get to the wastewater treatment facility, and it's a cheaper development. You have to take consideration. It's not trying to be cheap about it. Cost is a factor. So.
Karen McMillan, 1059. You talk about make that resident build house there, and then you'll have to bring the sewer septic system. Who pays for that? Does it taxes already went? I mean, we went up to $1,000 so.
Those are things that there's all answers to that question. There's no single answer to that question. I mean, developers, if somebody comes in and is trying to develop I don't know, a platted subdivision of some kind, of course they're going to have to do and deal with that. There might be some sort of a relationship with the township where the township provides for some main sewer system to come down the road. I mean, I don't know. Those are things that we don't have all the answers as we sit, but if we wait until we have all the answers, then nothing will ever happen. We have to get started and try to jumpstart this as best we can. I have yet to know anybody that's converted from a septic system into the sewer that has had really, has regretted doing it. There's always issues. You know, we have grinder pumps in some locations and those go out, but the sewer system overall you want to talk about the environment? I mean, if you're concerned about the environment, then obviously you want to be in sewer system as opposed to septic.
I don't mind our septic system, but I would hope that you would be taking into consideration what I talked about before, the road and the traffic, because to me that's a big concern.
We're not talking about any specific developments now. We're looking again about future land use is what we're looking at, so.
Yes, sir.
Jonathan McMillan, 10595 Rossville Road. How many mobile homes, if they actually kept the zoning the way it is, how many mobile homes, I don't know if anybody here can answer this, how many mobile homes would that put back there on this 90-acre partial versus the 90-acre split that you guys would make residential? Do you know an answer to that?
No, I don't think
Well,
we
I can
can.
tell you if it was 1 acre lots and there was no septic, you would have less than 90 homes because, you know, the infrastructure of the roads and everything would take up acreage and so you'd have less than 90 homes.
But
And-
they have a mobile home park that could sit on 90 acres. How many mobile homes would sit on that 90 acres?
I can't speak to that.
And
You got well
I
land use,
could
you got-
address, at least provide a little bit of color there. It's our understanding that of the 90 acres, approximately 30 acres are wet or unbuildable. So we're down to 60 acres. As for the number of manufactured homes that could be put on that site, I don't know. I know my client's done some preliminary planning, but I don't know the exact numbers. I can't answer that question directly.
How many are currently in Rossville Woods, do we know?
In 1 moment.
So that property went down to less than 60. So with the wetlands.
Right, and then you take
Unless you
away,
mitigate it.
like you said, Commissioner, roads and other things.
Rossville
You're probably
Woods-
closer to like 50 acres.
Our assessing records show 535 sites on Rossville Woods right now.
When I say if that's 50 acres that they can actually put mobile homes on, you're gonna look at another 500 mobile homes manufactured homes. So, I personally like those 90 homes versus 500 more.
Ma'am?
Residential 4055, well, I'm just Googling it, it says approximately 60 acres, it varies, but the number of mobile homes can fit
let's understand, they're opposing anything.
Thank
This
you.
gentleman here opposing,
To the extent that we retain zoning, and that if a plan is submitted for site plan, all of those issues discussed and considered, including traffic, on traffic, sewer, although it's my understanding, sewer, I think you mentioned sewer, at least I think my client believes that the existing manufactured community to the south has capacity with its treatment. It's a treatment plant that we tapped into for the site. But I would like to add just a couple more things, just to address it, if you just for a minute. The plan doesn't prohibit manufactured housing; it recommends limiting. I believe that means that there is some form of moratorium on existing on potential for future manufactured housing. It's just the township, as I the master plan is to limit it, so it can expand both to other areas. And that this property currently was or is for manufactured housing, so I'll keep it that way. You mentioned, again, I don't know the ages of the other manufacturing communities in the township. However, newer ones, which this would be obviously new and planned, they spend a significant amount of time in its planning, make sure the aesthetic, the presentation, the curbside is attractive, and doesn't have that, which seems to be by some of the people mentioned, their concerns about manufactured housing facilities. And the last point, this question is proposal. Township said they're rezoning F1, which seems to be, I don't understand the township coming from without having specific preferred zone designation rather than a selection of two possible zoning designations. That's what brings to my client. It sure seems like the township's goal to just prohibit manufactured housing rather than having a clear indication of the land use for this specific property.
I think the township's purpose was to have the commission take possibly rezone to a one of residential community or so that single family houses could be built. I think a little bit of discretion here. I appreciate the letter that you wrote. I had an opportunity today, though. It took to discuss a lot of this with you at the time. I know that you represent. I've done things in the past. It's just the community right now is focused itself on develop this moving forward. So we're not trying to exclude. I mean, look at what we have, and it's not excluding motels or manufactured housing communities. But we're looking at the opportunity of trying to put together something attractive to potential developers. I'll be glad to talk about it.
Happy to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Any other question?
Do you want to table it?
Gonna table it? Or- Okay, to make a decision,
Chair, I'll close the public hearing.
okay?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Now we need to talk about what we want to send to our board.
If you'd like, Commissioners, I could offer my report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Rezonings, as we're, the town planning commission is a recommending body to the township board. So with the recommendation, we will need to have a report of findings that the township board consider. But when going over the use map as stated previously, the future land use category is residential. In turn, contains two districts that are associated in the zone of the master plan, which are F or R1, the township board to those two zoning. With the rural future land use designation, the intent is to preserve the agricultural and rural of the township by accommodating low-density residential housing. And the description reads in the master plan, this development should exclude or encourage uses that demand substantial public or private services, including public and wastewater treatment facilities, drainage, public or private services. So as stated, the intent to accommodate agricultural and residential use with low density. And again, that's impact on township resources. So as of with this rezoning, we the proposed rezonings by the township board is with the goals, objectives, and land use map of the township. And then on page 4 of my report, I've outlined permitted and special land uses of our small farm district. We are recommending the township zone the parcels. So as you can see, there's a variety of uses, but they're mostly limited to daycare homes, foster care homes, child daycare homes, essential services, government buildings, and most that we see a lot of this township is single-family homes. And on page 5, you can see I'll go over the criteria of the zoning map amendment, which is outlined in section 3.10 of the zoning ordinance. And again, with the consistency, goals, and policies of the future land use map, we feel that the rezoning is consistent with those policies. And as mentioned previously, 38% of all housing units in the township are mobile homes. So we feel that that is still being adequately represented as currently. The second criteria is compatibility with the site's physical and geological features. As I mentioned, there does appear to be extensive wetlands on the northeastern portion of these properties. So whether any future development goes in, close coordination with Eagle will be required, as we don't want to build anything in a floodplain or regulated wetland. And again, evidence that with reasonable return on investments, with the Planning and Zoning Enabling Acts of the state of Michigan, it's the duty of the township to enforce and carry out its master plan, which is why these rezonings have been enacted by the township board. And then whether or not there's compatibility with potential uses and special uses outlined in the zoning district. And you can go back to the previous page where I outlined those special and permitted uses. We feel that all of those permitted and special uses, they would be compatible with the surrounding area in terms of density and utility usage. And then again, another criteria is whether or not the township has the capacity and infrastructure to support the proposed uses that would be allowed in the district. And as of right now, there is no, to my knowledge, sanitary sewer that extends to this portion of the property that we're looking at. So it ties in hand with the rural small farm intent, which is to prevent intense uses that would require such expansion of these utilities. So. And again, whether there's an apparent demand for the types of uses permitted in the recommended zoning district, which would be single-family homes. Consistently throughout this year, we received single-family home building permits. Every time I come here every week, I see at least 2 or 3. So there is a demand, and by rezoning these properties, we would allow for a greater opportunity for new homeowners and contractors coming in and build new homes in the township. And with that in mind, we would, I would like to state to the Township Planning Commission that with the criteria mentioned in this report, that these rezonings are consistent with the master plan and future land use plan. So if there's any questions at this time, I would be happy to answer them.
Chair, I don't have any questions. I read the report thoroughly. So very well done. Thank you, Joe.
I think that if I can, I think we need to have if there's a thought of moving forward on a recommendation for rezoning, we need to look at how we allocate those 2 residential. I mean, if we do that, if we pick one as to all of it, or if there's or some of the parcels are one, some or the other, whatever the case may be, if you need to take a look at that, we can table this and take a more specific look. This is the first time on it. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but.
We can, that is definitely, if that's what the commission wishes, we can definitely do that. In my opinion and our opinion, Carlisle Wardman's opinion, we feel that rural small farm would be the most appropriate, as it's the most closest related zoning district to the agricultural zoning that surrounds the properties. And by doing so, rezoning the rural small farm, we would stay, again, in consistency with the master plan and future land use map. So if the commission is comfortable with rural small farm, we can choose that one and bring it to the board. And if they have any additional comments, they can always be in communication with them as well through Matt.
Yeah, I think, a lot of the communications that we've had from the residents, they're looking for small farm. They're looking for, larger lots. Most of the people that are buying in our community are buying, for acres, not, half acre, lots and quarter acre, lots and subdivisions are looking for. low-density, single-family home. Jeff, there's no more discussion. I will make a motion to recommend to the board to rezone those properties as stated in the public hearing to RF.
Do we close the public hearing?
Yeah.
Oh.
I thought you did, you know
forgot.
what? Didn't you?
No, we didn't. Did we
I second
close
that,
it?
Matt.
Yeah, okay. Okay. I'm old, I forgot. Okay, so your motion is what again, Matt?
To recommend to the township board to rezone the properties as stated in the public hearing to RF, little farm, little small farm.
Second.
Yes, I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Okay. Okay, so now we have new business on here.
We just took care of it.
I know. I just asked Jill, why did we have it on twice? And now, unfinished business, that's text amendment to section 5.3, accessory building structures and usage.
Thank you. So, as you all are aware, we have been going over the accessory use standards for the last few meetings here now, and based on last meeting's comments from the commissioners, it seems like with habitable space, we wanted to revamp that a little bit to exclude that from detached accessory structures and only limit that to attached accessory structures, which essentially is home additions to existing principal structures on residential lots. So, as you can see on page 3 on the ordinance amendments there, you can see how I've kind of merged the habitable space ordinance that we currently have into what we were previously labeling as accessory dwelling units. So as of right now, it's standing habitable space and allowed only within attached to units. So detached accessory space, and there's various here that I outline there as to what is allowed with habitable space. No renting, only between family members that are defined in the zoning ordinance. Those were the two main issues that I believe were for this meeting. So if there's any other questions or changes the commission wants, I'd be happy to input them.
Okay.
Question for you. As far as utilities, I don't see anything different here. Need to put something in that says that, all utilities will be the main connection to the house, that we're not running utilities. I don't clear in this that that's the.
Yeah, in there, but what we
Double
can
check,
add
maybe
is
my eyes are keep old, I don't see it.
I did have seen it. It's not there, but what we can add is with these have proof of health department approval, because with these habitable spaces, they have in the bathrooms, we make sure that these single families have adequate capacity. So another addition that is a health approval, and then also that's the home that is attached not add any more water taps. So it would all be the existing structure as it's
Existing
serviced.
utilities provided to the structure.
Right.
So those would be additions?
Yes.
Sure, I normally like to see those things come back.
No, you
before
do.
We approve them the final, but I know we beat for several months. With that addition of those items of Wayne County, the utilities of the primary utility structure, I'd make a motion to the board.
Okay. You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Probably have. Though, nowhere near our one ordinance. Remember our two ordinance thing?
Here, we got.
This does not go to the township board until. Things tonight. We need to clear.
Okay, next on on our agenda floor. So, some people that to talk, and I apologize if I mess up the name. Brian Lee Pensky, do you have anything else you would like to say, or any?
No, yes, thanks. We appreciate you introducing, we appreciate you guys hearing us. I didn't your insta vote against our wishes. And Ash. You're
Okay.
to do that. I appreciate it. This is at the beginning, stated that was going to be considered. We're not in your business neighborhood. Kindly. It is a possibility of things go wrong for my kids. With the foot traffic, the paw traffic, the probability increases. I'm not interested in that. I'm aware you guys hear that, but I moved there for residents. Moved there from clients. I run a business as well outside my home. I see patients on a regular basis at a business. And residential.
We have 3 vets in
Yeah, there's a lot.
3 miles from here. They do so much
Okay,
not bad.
If you were intended to be a vet,
Chair. Chair.
okay.
Chair, point. And we, public comment, the open to discuss new, is not to revisit items that we
Not-
had. And we should have given you that head. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And like I said, I mean, we do not like people in here personally. I understand you're very, passionate
wasn't
about it.
intended to attack anyone.
Yeah.
My comment on peace was not addressed. Anyone
Yep.
here that cannot be.
And I appreciate your passion for, your neighbor, so I do. Thank you.
So, and then the next,
I want to correct myself. I said about the traffic. And I will. If there's 8 per day, a week, like I said, that's almost 1,000 people
Okay.
driving through. That's more. It's something already discussed.
yeah, you've already put that on the record. Okay, is,
He's-
yes,
Yes, hi. Jim O'Connor, 3900.
he's not, sir, you're not in this, can we do you last? Oh, they're back there? Oh, okay. Okay, well, I messed up here,
I'll
so
grab
I will do this. Okay, so, this is Sarah, is that you? You signed?
Just signed because you.
Okay. And Mitage? I think,
I believe I'm sitting next to me.
Dennis? For Tim,
That would be
okay, there, now it's your,
Jim O'Connor, 3990. I lived there for 6 years. I lived directly behind this property. And for years, there was a petting zoo behind there. Animals would come into my property. She's cleaned it up. It's amazing what she's doing to that property. She's chasing a passion to help change animals and improve our community. Please, and thank you. Thank you for proposing the vote tonight. And thank you all for thinking about it and tabling it so that questions can get answered to then bring it back around for a vote. I look forward to it being back there because she's a good lady doing great things. And it's nice to see positive things happening in our township. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't even think we've met before, so thank you.
Um,
Good. I appreciate that.
Lisa, is it Lisa Solars?
You've worked hard.
She left. Jeff Schlisser? I can't
Jeff
remember.
is the attorney, he's gone.
Oh, okay. Dennis and Marcia Harkey, they left. Tina, is it P-U-Z-I-K? She left. Tom Mitchell? He left. Is there another sheet?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So everybody else is been on the list that signed up. We've
Yep.
given them the opportunity several times to talk. And does anybody else who has not signed in that wants to say anything or have a question for us? No? Oh, okay, Mr. Odding.
This is for the commission. The board has asked the commission to review the solar ordinances, and so that's gonna come back before us. Hopefully Joe will put some documents together for us so that we can review that, and we should update our ordinances every few years, and a lot of things have happened, in the solar and other communities, so it's a good time to take a look at it and make sure that we've got all of our terminology right and all of our locations of where, we think we wanna locate these facilities at.
Okay. Are we gonna look at our geothermal part of our ordinance, or do we have one? Because I've
Not that I've
heard people are
looked at,
digging
but-
holes.
We can definitely take a look into it if needed.
Yeah,
Okay.
and one of the other things, that it may come to the planning commission, is a wetland ordinance. The board had put a moratorium on wetlands, after we had a wetland bank spec'd by Eagle in our community, which, if anybody didn't know, it was spec'd in our community, there were public comment on it, but the way that Eagle works is the township did not have the final say on whether it went in or not. So we're putting in some regulation to at least be able to regulate them, so that when Eagle does look, if they ever look at our community again, we have so much wetland, we're shocked that they even looked in our community, because it can only use good quality farmland. You can't use wetland as a wetland bank. You can only take good farmland and turn it into a wetland bank, and then when you have a community that wants to get a quarter of an acre to build a new building, they gotta mitigate that. They'll buy a quarter acre in a wetland bank so that they can get rid of that quarter acre someplace else. And that's why it has to be good farmland, because if it was wetland, you didn't save wetland. All you did was move it from here to there. You didn't maintain the number of acreages of wetland that you have. So anyways, we need to, the moratorium was put in, and the time is ticking. We need to get that done so that we can have some regulation on the book, so that if somebody comes to our community looking to spec another wetland bank, they will then have ordinances that regulate how they would come in, because again, Eagle has 100% the choice whether it gets spec'd in our community or not. So those are some things we're coming down the road.
Okay. So if we have no other questions from the audience or the board, I want to thank the audience for being here tonight, being patient with what went on and didn't go on. And we were hoping you'll come back at another time. Okay. So I need somebody to want to go home.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.